thanks for all of you who signed up. We had close to 1,000 people sign up for today's webinar, which is super exciting. And I've got some great LinkedIn techniques today, and I'm not going to fill up the front with a whole bunch of stuff that you might hear in other webinars. We're going right to it because this is a half-hour webinar, and I got 5 of the best LinkedIn features you've ever seen. So, by the way, all 5 of these, I wrote complete articles on the feature, and you'll get a link to those articles as well in the follow-up email. Okay, so let's get rolling. And I've got little funny names for each of these techniques so you'll remember them. But really, just so you know, these 5 techniques come out of me teaching and helping people with LinkedIn for the last 12 years and having hundreds of individual consultations and doing speaking all over the world. And people are frustrated because they've been on LinkedIn for a long time and they say, Wayne, what do I do to make something happen? What are the techniques and features and strategies that people are using that I must not have found yet? And I dwelled on that at the end of the year, just sort of pondering what's going on here? Why are people not figuring this thing out? So I started off this year with my blog post, which I write every week, to try to address the 5 things that I can see people are using for work, whether you're building your consulting business, whether you're building a new business you're growing, and just finding salespeople, nonprofits, finding more donors, you name it. These techniques will work for all of the objectives that you are using LinkedIn for. Now, the way you have to frame that is, when I speak about the individuals we're looking for, you have to think about who those people are. So for job seekers, it's the people that work at the companies you want to work for. For a salesperson, it's the prospects of the people you'd like to sell to. For consultants, it's new consulting clients. And so that's what you have to frame my conversation with the target audience being, who would you like to meet more of? Okay, cool. Let's jump into the very first one. And the first one I call, you are the welcome wagon. Okay, now you are the welcome wagon works like this. You've got to get into the advanced search filters, and it's basically where you set up a search alert that you receive from LinkedIn with new people who meet the search criteria that you built. And by the way, everything I'm showing you today is free LinkedIn and live LinkedIn. These are not slides, these are live LinkedIn. So when you get the recording, you'll be able to play it right back and go to the exact clicks that I follow through on. So here's the way, and what you are the welcome wagon, the LinkedIn techniques that's tied to that are the advanced people search function and setting search alerts. So by going into people and all filters, you get to the all filters page. This is a really important page on LinkedIn that a lot of people haven't discovered. You better get used to using this page. It's really powerful. And so my strategy behind this one is, and I set up a search that I did already, that I can show you the criteria that I selected from a blank filter screen, where I put, I'm looking for purchasing folks at these 3 organizations in the Milwaukee area. And when I look for people like in the purchasing area, in that case, I'm looking for titles that include any of these words, but I'm also saying I'm going to look for the boss. Okay, so what you've got to get used to doing and practicing is building out search strings like I'm showing you right now. Okay, so this is basically finding the purchasing leaders at those 3 organizations in Milwaukee. Now, the trick to getting a search alert is to copy and paste this entire search string back into the search box at the top after you've filtered all the other filters. Okay, and so what that brings back to you is, here's a list of 112 people who work at Rockwell, Milwaukee Tool, or Johnson Controls, or Harley Davidson, those 4 companies. I think it's 4. Let's go back and look. Yeah, those 4 companies. And on the right-hand side, you'll see the Save Search Alert box. So, number 1, the first time you look at this list, you got to say to yourself, okay, cool list, Wayne. I'd love to meet those folks. What do I do? Well, the what do I do on free LinkedIn is you use the connection request and write a really good connection requests to these people. Maybe using things like making sure that getting a referral from a friend, maybe seeing where they went to school before. You're going to spend time on their profile before you send the connection request, because in that way you're going to write a better connection request. So you never do this. You never come over to connect and hit send now. Don't do that. That's the wrong thing to do. Too many people are doing that on LinkedIn. It's no way to start a relationship. You're going to add a note. And that note's going to refer to what it is that you've got in common, what's the sticky point between you and that person, and the fact that you might like to have a conversation or a discussion or stop in for a visit. And then and when they do connect, and they won't all connect, don't count on that. How well your connection request is written, what that person's strategy is will sort of dictate whether they connect with you. But once they connect, then you'd send a longer thank you note, trying to set up an appointment phone call, share a little bit more about what you're trying to do. But don't have the expectation that for every person you send a connection request to in your target audience, you're going to get you're going to get an acceptance. You're not. That's it's just the game of big numbers on LinkedIn. That's sort of different, no different than the game of cold calling big numbers back in the day when we did a lot of that. Okay, so the list comes up. The strategy behind that is to make sure you send nice connection requests. Hopefully you use things like referrals in between, because you cleared that with a friend of yours here when they're second degree, or you went to the same school or whatever. Then once the list comes up and you work that list, the welcome wagon part comes in when you create a search alert. Now, by hitting the save button here, LinkedIn will then automatically send me an email each and every week with the new people that meet that search criteria. Now, think about how cool that is. And the reason I call it You Are the Welcome Wagon is because then when the 113th, there's 112 people on this list right now, when all of a sudden this week I get a note from LinkedIn that says, here's number 113 and 114, you can look at their profiles and decide whether you want to be the welcome wagon. Hi, welcome to town. They might have moved to Milwaukee. Number two, they might have got promoted. They were at Rockwell, but they weren't in a manager position. Congratulations on your promotion. So something happened that caused them not to be on the list when it was 112, and now they are on the list a week later. You need to see what that is and use that connection request to sort of be a friend with them. No different than if you met somebody at a real networking event and hey, I just got promoted to the vice president of purchasing at Harley Davidson. You know what you'd say? Congratulations, that's really cool. I'm happy for you. And then you'd probably make sure somewhere along in the next few minutes with that person, you tell them about what you do and how you can help them. And when people get promoted or they move to a town, they're in the mode of, yeah, that's cool. Let's get together. Let's have a cup of coffee. I would love to hear about what you do. I'm building new relationships in my new position, right? You Are the Welcome Wagon is one of the best features on LinkedIn. It's the combination of doing an advanced people search filter and then using the save alert search box. You get 3 search alerts on free LinkedIn. Now you can revise them and change them anytime you want, and you can add more companies. In this case, I only have 4 companies. And this was a company-specific search. You don't have to use companies. You can use any of the filters that are built out on the page. But you always got to remember, you got to paste in the titles back up in the keyword box, because that causes the search alert box to show up on the right-hand side. Okay, I know you're going to love that one. Let's get on with point number 2. I call strategy number 2 is Go Marquette Warriors. So if you've had a chance to look at my profile, I went to Marquette to get my MBA. They used to be called the Warriors. They're now the Golden Eagles. Some of you know that situation. And I say that sort of in jest, but it's one of my standing jokes when I do my talks. Now, the technique of You Are Go Marquette Warriors is this. It's taking advantage of this page on LinkedIn. It's the university page. What a great feature on LinkedIn that most people have not found. And so the university page, all you do is type the name of the school up in the big search box at the top. When your school comes up, you click it. Okay, then you scroll down to this page that you're going to click on to see alumni. Then LinkedIn will bring you back the ability to search and filter through all the alums by where they live, where they work, what they studied, what they're skilled at, and how you're connected, as well as keywords in this keyword box, which could be titles, search alumni by titles, keyword, or company, and the start year and end year, if you want to tighten it down to a period of time. So here, this would be an example. Let's say I meet with engineers, electrical engineers at manufacturers in Chicagoland. So you would click Chicago. And what you're doing is you're leveraging the fact that you went to the same school together. Then I would click over to the engineers, 947. And then I'd come back to where they work. And if I want to see the 16 at Northrop, here they all are. How cool is that, right? And I can tell you, when I talk to people and say, forget LinkedIn for a minute. Let's say you just told me you meet with engineers in the manufacturing space and you live in Chicago and you went to Marquette. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put together a little networking event for you with 16 alums that are in that space that work at Northrop. Would you be excited about that? Of course you would. Well, guess what? We is having us a virtual networking event right here. Okay? You're here, they're here. Look what's underneath each of their names. Connect. It doesn't say leave me alone. I'm busy being an engineer over here. It says connect. So I want you to get more aggressive and more like just going, hey, people are on LinkedIn for a reason. They're on LinkedIn to meet different people. Well, here's 16 people that you might like to meet. Same strategy as the page before, where you're going to use the connection request and you're going to add a note. In this case, the note can talk about Marquette. That's a natural connecting point. And of course, have a follow-up note with the ones that connect with you. One of the best features on LinkedIn, university page, alumni, using these search filters, keywords, so on and so forth. So this one I call Go Marquette Warriors. I think you'll love this. I think you think about it as an alumni event that's virtual, waiting for you to meet some of these folks. And once again, don't set your expectation at, oh, I didn't get all 16 to connect with me. Guess what? You won't. But if you write your note nice and you tell them what's in it for them, you're going to connect with probably, I'd say, in a range of about half for sure. And maybe even some down the road, because not everybody's on LinkedIn every day like you and I might be. Okay? So you got to sort of set your expectation and realize, I just got to keep plugging. And the more of these notes that I send out, the better it's going to be. So that's number 2, Go Marquette Warriors, using the alumni tab on the university page. All right, number 3. I tell you what, this is a speed course today. Number 3 is your baseball cards could be very valuable. So here's the idea behind your baseball cards could be very valuable. It's an advanced people search again, like we did in the very first one. The difference being this. So I use this technique when people say, hey, Wayne, I gotta get some appointments. My boss has put a lot of pressure on me. What can I do on LinkedIn to get some appointments, man? I mean, like today. I said, well, the low-hanging fruit on LinkedIn are the people you've already connected to over the years that are in your target audience that you've never really put together that phone call or that meeting. And you haven't done anything to try to revisit those folks. Because that's what's happening. People have got these big networks. They tell me they got lots of decision makers in there, or lots of people that work at the right companies, or whatever your purpose is, but they don't go back and revisit these people. By clicking the first box here, and then whatever criteria you're looking for, in this case, I'm saying people in Wainwright Parks Network that are in these 3 cities, that we're going to stick with that whole purchasing stream that we have put together, and hit apply. Up comes the list of the 37 people that are in my network, with the message box available to you to try to reach out to them, share some document, invite them to an event, tell them you're going to be in the neighborhood, and start off like this, like, hey, Todd, notice we connected several years ago, never got that chance to put together the phone call, wanted to revisit that idea. Here's what's going on at our company that I think could help you. Now, remember, you've got a longer message box. You've got 1,900 characters with potential attachments to this, because you're first degree. And the reason I call this, your baseball cards could be very valuable, It's because people are treating LinkedIn connections like baseball cards. They're filling up a box, they're shoving them in the closet, and they're gathering dust. And they're wondering, well, LinkedIn's not doing anything for me. Nobody's pinging me for orders. Nobody's trying to hire me. Well, guess what? Pull that baseball card box up that you spent over the years putting the right people in your network. Blow the dust off them and reach out to them and try to invigorate a conversation, a brand new conversation. And don't be afraid to admit, hey, we connected several years ago. You can see that in their contact info box when you connected. Just say that. We connected several years ago. We never had a chance to have a cup of coffee. Just wanted to swing back. We're having this webinar where I've got this document that our company came up with. It helps people like you all the time. Or if you're in the job seeking world, you can just reach out to them and say, hey, I see you work for this company. We got connected several years ago. I am in the middle of transition. Wondered if there's anything going on at your company that you think would fit my skill set. Baseball cards are like LinkedIn connections. You got to pull them out of the closet, blow the dust off them, and try to make something happen. Okay, that's number 3. Your baseball cards can be very valuable. It's an advanced people search with a direct message to the people that are in your first degree. Okay, number 4, don't miss these important messages from your 24/7 virtual assistant. That's the title of this one. And this one's a real easy one. It's the notification tab. Do not miss checking the notification tab several times a week. It's one of the best features LinkedIn gave us several years ago because it's not filled with any mess. What do I mean by that way? I mean your home feed could be a mess. Lots of articles from people at the 2nd and 3rd degree, people you don't even know. And people are spending less time in their home feed these days because doesn't seem applicable to us. This page, your notification tab is spot on for you. It's the people who are sharing your stuff, commenting on your stuff. That would require you to jump in and say thank you. All those engagements are good. Don't forget to say thank you for when people share. They make a comment, you jump in there and have a conversation. All those are going to allow your post to do a lot better. Also, what shows up here are people starting new positions. Oh my gosh, think about this. If LinkedIn made us pay for this, hey, we can tell you when people change jobs. Would that be important to you? I mean, hello, especially if the person was a customer of yours from the previous company they worked at. So that's just one example of what's on this page. So what would I do with this one? That's pretty easy. If Amber is my client, and I see she moved to a new position, it's a note to Amber, it's a phone call, it's an email to Amber, congratulations on your new position at XYZ company. Sure would like to swing by and see if we can help you at your new company. By the way, who's taking care of your duties at the ABC company? Right? Follow up with that question. She probably knows. Then you make sure you don't lose the relationship at the company she used to work for. This is a home run page. And just one of the things LinkedIn is notifying you for is people starting new positions. Of course, there's birthdays and anniversaries in there as well. Great feature on LinkedIn. Notifications tab. A couple times a week you should jump in here, especially if you're posting stuff. You should probably maybe come in every day if you're posting stuff so you can stay involved in conversations more often. So don't miss these important messages from your 24/7 virtual assistant, the notifications tab. By the way, a reminder, the follow-up note where you receive the recording for this session will include links to 5 detailed articles about every one of these techniques. So between the video and those articles, you're going to be able to keep up with Wayne Breitbart. Because I go fast, as you can tell, because when I got a half hour, I just want to give you 4 hours worth of stuff. It's just how I'm made, you know. Okay, number 5. Check out your referral sources Rolodex in just minutes. Check out your referral sources Rolodex in just minutes. Okay, this is a combination of the searches we did earlier with advanced people search, but with one difference. You put the name of a person in the connections of box. And I use this one for this purpose. You're going to meet with a client, you're going to meet with a really good referral source. In this case, it's Joe Jones. Once you're connected to your referral source, then you just click off the boxes and add the titles that you want. So in this case, I'm saying, who does Joe know in the Milwaukee area that's in the marketing space. So you can use that. All the filters, just even the ones we talked about earlier. But this time, don't forget, you got to add this in because I got a meeting coming up with Joe and I want to see if I can discuss the potential referrals with these folks. Here's the 51 people in his network that have the word marketing in their job titles. Talk about this. What's the title of this one again? Check out your referrals Rolodex in just minutes. Think about how hard this would have been if I would have, before LinkedIn, hey, Joe, looking forward to our lunch today. Yeah, me too, Wayne. I'm going to be over in a couple hours. Well, lunch is until noon. Why are you going to be in a couple hours? Well, I just want to borrow your Rolodex so I can prepare for the meeting. Oh, you're going to ask me for some referrals. Yeah, but I got a better technique this time. I'm just not going to open it and say, hey, Wayne, who should I meet in your network? We've all had that question asked, and we've asked that question. But so I'll come over, Joe, and just click through your Rolodex if that's okay with you. Okay, if you don't bother me, fine. Look, this took me seconds, and I didn't even have to borrow his Rolodex or bother him. But what I do have to do after this, in the privacy of my own office, or sitting in my car while I'm waiting to go talk to him, is write down 5 to 10 names. That's what I would say. 5 to 10 names of the best 5 or 10 people here, and have a discussion with Joe about how you should approach those folks. Now, this technique, and along with the other techniques, I can help you with if you sign up for a special event, a one-on-one consultation. We'll talk about that in just a second. But that's what I do several times during my week, is help people understand these strategies, but then also talk about the scripting. Sometimes the scripting, people stumble on the scripting, or they go, Wayne, you got all the right wording. Can't you just send me all the wording? So, well, your wording should sound like you, but we can work through that together. So this technique, number 5, is check out your referral sources Rolodex in just minutes. And it's the advanced people filters, but using the connections of in addition to all the other ones. So let's review the 5 techniques as we start to hit the bottom of the hour. And then I'm going to do questions. I'm so looking forward to seeing your questions. So keep them coming. That'd be great. And for those of you who are already part of the Wayne's World Patina Nation and have already had time with me in our special $250 session, I'm going to spend time with you in about 15 minutes after these broadcasts. We meet with just the people that have signed up for our $250 consultation. It's one of the benefits is you get to hang out with me for some little extra time and ask your specific questions. So we will see you guys at Q2. But just to remind everybody else, you can become part of that same group of people. And we'll tell you how in just a second. Okay, so a reminder, the 5 things we did. First one was You Are the Welcome Wagon, which was advanced people search and setting up search alerts. Second one was Go Marquette Warriors, which is using the alumni tab on the LinkedIn University page. Number 3 was Your Baseball Cards Are Very Valuable. That was using the advanced people search filters, but filtering by first degree, and then using the messaging capability to get things moving with people that maybe you haven't done anything with, but you were previously connected to. Number 4 is Don't Miss These Important Messages that your 24/7 virtual assistant has for you. That's the notification tab. And number 5 was Check Out Your Referral Sources Rolodex in minutes. That's the people search filter, but using the connections of filter box along with the other filters that help you find the right people. Whew. I'm tired, but not too tired to answer your questions. Here we go. We're going to roll with some questions here. And we're going to go over 5 minutes or so on the question. Oh, before I do the questions, let's talk about the special. I want to make sure that you get a chance to hear about the special, and then we'll go right into the questions. So what I've arranged, so I do consultations with people all the time, but I have a special Patina LinkedIn consultation. It's $250. And here's what you get for your $250. You get me marking up your profile and getting that to you ahead of time. And trust me, there'll be a lot of red on that bad boy. I am the ultimate in professors. Now, before I get your profile, you're going to either send me your resume if you're in a job search, or you're going to send me what your business objectives are and how you use LinkedIn and who your target audience is. And then I'll mark up your profile and I'll email that to you along with usually a couple of worksheets that I can see we're going to talk about. And then it's a 1-hour consultation using screen share and phone. We record that session so that you can play it back anytime you want. That's a benefit. You can email me when you get done with the changes to your profile. I will email you back with either my final blessing or my final ideas or strategies that you might have missed during our critique. I will look at your company page if you have one as well. And then the last benefit for your $250 is you get to be involved in our after calls that take place after these webinars during the year. And right now we have 2 more webinars scheduled for this year. It'll be 2 or 3 between now and the end of the year, and you'll be able to be involved in the after calls where you can ask your own questions about your own situation. So that's what you get for your $250. If you can click in the chat box, right? The chat box has the link if you'd like to register to get on my calendar right away. I only have time for 5 or 6 of these each week, but there are times when I book Saturdays and nights. For those of you who have regular day jobs and don't have time to do this, there are some Saturday hours and some night hours. You'll also get a link to how you can register for this in the follow-up email that includes not only the webinar, but the other articles that tie into today's webinar. Okay, very good. Here we go. Some questions. Here we go. Is a paid subscription better? So here's the deal on premium LinkedIn. Maybe. The answer is maybe. And it really depends on this. Are you pushing free LinkedIn to the extent that it's stopping you from doing things that help you? And probably the main thing that people get stuck on free LinkedIn is they want to do more searches. And LinkedIn limits the number of searches you do every calendar month. That's typically the hurdle where I say, you might have to pay for LinkedIn. It looks like you're doing a lot of searching, and good for you. You're doing a lot of searching. Or you'd like to look at more than 5 people and who's viewed your profile. That's another benefit of the premium. Or you'd like some filters that include zip code and not just greater Milwaukee area. Or you'd like filters that have company size. That's on a premium subscription, okay? So the bottom line is premium could be for you, but only because you're frustrated with some of the things you love to do on LinkedIn and you're getting limited to those things. If you do not run into those limitations, you don't need premium. You should be pushing free very hard and knowing where your limitations are and saying, I may have to pay. I'm on Sales Navigator. I love my Sales Navigator. It's not a cheap date at $80 a month. Okay. Okay, this one says, if someone sends you a connection request, you want to talk to them before accepting, how can you reply? So when you go to your inbox, your network, and look at your inbound invitations, there should be a reply in that box that comes to you when you click See All. So you go to your page, the tab that says My Network, your invitations are there, but only like the first 3 or 4. If you click See All, the page will come up with all your inbound invitations, and there'll be a note below each of those. Inside that box, it says, reply to Wayne. Okay? And then you can send a note without accepting. And I think that's a good strategy. I think that's a good thing to do. Okay. For saved searches, does it show all 17 every week or the 117? Okay. So this question was, will the email that comes from LinkedIn show you the total results or just the new people? The email will show you how many new people have shown up. But you can go into your saved search box under Manage and look at that full list anytime you want. Okay. Okay, so would I demonstrate how to copy search criteria in the main search field again? So all you do is when you type in the titles you want with the ors and the parentheses as I showed you in the hands, you just copy, use the copy function from your browser, and then paste it into that top search box, and then hit return, and the list will come back with the same number of people, possibly in a different order, but then the search alert box will pop up. Okay. Does it support wildcard searches? So it doesn't support wildcard searches with the star. It doesn't do that. The only Boolean search logic things you can do on LinkedIn are and, or, and not, and they need to be capitalized, and also parentheses work and quotes work. Okay. So please show us what's included in the title string. That was a question. When you get the recording, you'll be able to see what's in that title string. And by the way, that's just an example of the title string. You got to think through what's going to happen in your own market, and what you're trying to do is you're going to start figuring out what are the titles that people usually have that, as far as you're concerned, it's all the same job. And I was just using one example for purchasing people. Okay. How do I get to the people tab? Okay, so the people tab is cursor in the top search box, white toolbar shows up, hit people, then in the white toolbar, then another white toolbar shows up on the next page, then you click all filters and you get the advanced filters page. Okay, let's see here. Can you explain some of the and/or functions when using a search? So it really boils down to, and by the way, I got a chapter on this in my book, the and/or. There's a whole chapter on how to use Boolean search logic on LinkedIn. You might want to check my book out. It's on Amazon. Just step back and think about, these are the words, the and words are the words they have to have that you're including, and the or words are one or the other. And sometimes it's a combination of the parentheses and where those and ors are, and you'll see that in the replay, how you can work that. And it'll make sense once you are able to slow me down a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay, let's see. In tip number 1, you repeat the coaching on how, can you repeat the coaching on when the search string for the title brought the top page? Okay, so I did that. I just told you how to get to the advanced people search. Oh, good question. Do you know how many searches you can do on free? We don't. Sorry about that. That's LinkedIn marketing magic, right? So if they keep moving the target, they can get more people to possibly pay. Believe me, it's not the way I run my business, but it's been LinkedIn's strategy all along, is add some confusion, limit certain things, and you may have to move to premium. So I don't know that, but it does reset each and every calendar month. Okay, here's a good question. How can you create an email list from a LinkedIn based on a criteria? So I think that question is like where I had those 112 people. Can you put together an email list from that list of people? You cannot put together an email list from those people. Now, if they're all first degree, if that list is all first degree, you can go to each of their profiles and you can scrape their email off from the contact info box and put it into a list. If they're not first degree, then they'd have to have shared their email address somewhere on their profile so that everybody can see it. LinkedIn does not let you can do a download of your entire LinkedIn database, but it does not include email anymore. It used to. By the way, how you do that in your settings. Okay, I'm gonna do one more question because we got this other call coming up. Okay, this is a good one. For titles, if you put VP and it's spelled out Vice President, will it pick up still? I think it handles VP fine, but it doesn't handle some abbreviations the way you'd like it to. It seems to handle HR okay, but you know what you do? You just test it, try it. It's quirky. So I wish it wasn't, but the abbreviations, sometimes LinkedIn handles well, sometimes it doesn't. I would just test it if I were you. Okay, so let's wrap up the webinar this way. Thanks for being here. It's been a pleasure. I hope that you all be waiting for your email that's going to come with the link. Watch this thing again. Share the link with your friends. We'd love that. There's no reason that you can't share it with your friends, right? Yeah, good stuff. Share it with your friends. Read the articles. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, boy, I would sure love for you to send me a nice connect request saying you enjoyed today's webinar. You can even lie a little bit. No, just kidding. No, I look forward to having you in my network, truthfully. For those of you who have met me in person, you know that's the kind of person I am. I'd love to have you join my network, and if you said you heard me on the webinar, that'd be wonderful. Let's take the relationships to the next level. Okay, any closing remarks from Patina friends?
Well, thank you so much for being here, Wayne. I know multiple people here at Patina have benefited from Wayne's training. And again, this event is being recorded, so keep an eye out for the replay that will come in a few days. This concludes today's webinar. For those of you who have purchased Wayne's services, your special presentation with Wayne will begin in about 5 minutes. Thank you, everybody.
This has been a presentation of the Patina Nation. To watch more content like this or for more information, please visit us online at www.patinanation.com.